Hey there everyone. I hope everyone's kind of getting the gist of how to write HTML code. It should be fairly simple and straightforward. And now we're going to learn another thing about HTML code. We're going to be learning how to write links, we're going to learn how to add attributes to tags, and we're going to learn how to write comments inside HTML code. So, first thing is we're going to learn how to write comments. Now, comments are particularly important when coding because you want the person who's going to buy your code or whoever you sell your code to understand what you did in your code and what individual pieces of your code does. It doesn't look good when you show a piece of code to someone and it looks like it's just a bunch of strings and letters and nobody understands what your code is doing. So you want to comment your code so that you tell the person that you're selling it to, or you tell yourself, because sometimes you have to come back to your code within months or years and you go and look at it and you're like, what the heck did I do? What does this even mean? So you want to make it easier for yourself and you want to make it easier for the person you're going to sell it to. That way you can get the best return on investment, and that way you can sell your product and sell your website to different people for more money and give them a better enjoyable experience when you're selling them your product or your website, because they'll know exactly what is going on in your website. They're not going to be lost. So let's go ahead and write our first comments. So we're going to open up a file from template, HTML5, and then we're going to write comments as our file name, and let's open that up. Yep. Alright, now let's go ahead and write a paragraph. Right? Should be pretty easy. Bracket P bracket, and let's write in the middle of it, this is a paragraph. Now let's say someone new to HTML, or you had like a bunch of lines of code that you didn't know what was happening in between it. So what you want to do is you want to start commenting out your lines of code. So the way we do this in HTML is we do bracket, exclamation point, and 2 dashes, just like that. As you can see, the code automatically went black. Now, what it means to comment something out is basically you're just giving instructions to yourself. Now, whatever you write in here will not be run by the browser. The browser will automatically skip this because they'll know it's a comment, and they'll know it's just for your purpose only, just for you to understand what you're writing. So, we made a comment, and it blacked out everything. So we're going to have a closing tag of our comment. So let's write, this is a comment. And then let's close that comment, because as you can see, if we leave it alone, it comments out everything after it. Now this is a little bit tricky because we don't want everything to be commented out, because this is our body closing tag and this is our HTML closing tag. Excuse me for that. And we don't want these tags to be commented out and not be run by the browser. We want them to be run by the browser. So we're going to close this comment tag. So we're going to do dash dash with another bracket. And that's it. As you can see, the body and HTML tags went back and lit up to white, or changed their colors back to regular. And the only thing that's darkened out is our comment. So as you can see, that's how we write a comment. Now this is going to be particularly useful whenever we have large amounts of code and we want to make sure that we understand what we're doing in this code, because it makes it easier if you're troubleshooting your code and debugging it to see where the problem started. So we wrote a paragraph saying this is a paragraph, and we can just write in our comment that, hey, you wrote a paragraph here. And that's it. You just wrote a comment on that line of code that says, hey, you wrote a paragraph here. And that's going to help us remember what we did in our code and help us easily remember where our errors are coming from if we don't understand what we're doing or we don't understand what somebody else's code is doing. So paragraphs are very useful. Now, the next thing I said we're going to learn about today is links. Now, links are especially useful because you want to link out to different websites. For example, let's say you had a website about dogs and you wanted to link out to like a national dog resource company or something like that, and you wanted to link out, or maybe you wanted to link out to another page on your website, right? So you want to do this through links. So the way you do a link is through a tag called the anchor tag. Now this will help us in writing a link. So we're going to do bracket A and then bracket. Now that's an anchor tag. Now in order to make an anchor tag do something, we need to give it a source that's going to tell it, hey, where this link is going to this website. So we're going to add an href. An href basically allows us to specify the location of where we want the link to go. So we're going to do href equals, and we're going to write this in quotation marks. You don't have to write it in quotation marks, but I prefer because it makes it look easier to understand where the website is starting. So now we're going to add the link that we want to go to. So we can write http://google.com, and then closing that off with a quotation mark, and then closing that off as well. And then we add the anchor tag over there. So now we have a link that takes us to google.com. But we want something for the link to show up as. We want a piece of text that when we click on it, it takes us to that link. So that's what we write in between these two anchor tags, the opening and the closing anchor tag. So for example, let's try click me. So let's write click me in between the tags. Now this is going to create a text saying click me, and it's going to be able to be clickable and take us to google.com. So now let's go ahead and run this. Let's add our skeleton, fully completed skeleton. So meta charset UTF-8. Always remember to do that. And then close that tag up and save. Alright, now let's go ahead and save this document, and then let's go ahead and run this website. So remember the selection, Chrome, preview. Alright, so as you can see, we got a link here. We actually coded an entire link. So as you can see, the link says click me. It doesn't give us the entire URL right here because we told it to hide it in between this click me. And now we have an underline on it, underline under this entire text telling us that, hey, this is a link and you can click it. So if you click this, it opens up, or it should open up, google.com. So you can see, we just wrote a link. Now we can link to a bunch of things. We can link to websites. We can link to even other pages on our website. And we can even link to different sections that we're going to put into our website. So that's how you write a link. It's actually very simple and straightforward. And then in the next coming lessons, I'm going to teach you how to put an image that's a link. So when you click on an image, it takes you to a link. So next up, we're going to talk about attributes. Now when we write tags, for example, let's say we had the paragraph tag, which is bracket P bracket. Now sometimes there's additional information you want to put in the code that tells you about the paragraph. For example, let's give this paragraph a title. So what I'm talking about when I say title is that whenever someone hovers over that paragraph, it tells them what that paragraph is about. So inside the tag, before in the opening tag, and this is attributes are only done inside the opening tag. They help us give us additional information about the tag. So for example, inside here, we're just going to do a space, and we have a list right here by Komodo of different tags we can do. Now, I want to do one that's called title. So we're going to write title equals quotation mark, hey, I'm a paragraph. Now this will assign a title to the paragraph tag that this is a paragraph. So let's type in a bunch of random text right here. Doesn't matter what you put in there. And let's save that and let's run that again. So we can go over here and refresh. And now we have a paragraph that says a bunch of nonsense. But if we hover over it and see what we get. So we have a little text box or a little thing that's a title that says, hey, I'm a paragraph. So that's exactly what the title thing does. It helps people whenever they hover over a piece of text or an image or whatever it may be, a certain tag, it'll specify to them what you want them to specify, so they're not confused when you're using your website, which is really essential when you want to create a nice and responsive and user-friendly website. So there you go. When we wrote the links, you actually wrote an attribute as well. So remember when we did the anchor tag, we have a bracket, right? And this is the anchor tag, right? But this does nothing yet because we want it to give additional information. We want to tell it where to link off to. So we gave it the attribute of href, which tells us, hey, go to this location, and then this is where I want you to go for the anchor tag. So href equals google.com, for example, right? And now you're giving this anchor tag additional information that, hey, I want to go to google.com. So attributes are fairly useful, especially when we go into style, for example, CSS. Sometimes we don't want to put CSS in a different file. Sometimes we just want to do inline styling. So sometimes you can even add the attribute style. Now I'm not going to do too much of this. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So style, we can add an attribute. Let's not do that to the anchor tag. Let's do it to the paragraph. Style equals blah, 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 whatever you want the style to be. So I'm not going to go into too much depth for that because that's going to be saved for CSS. So as you can see, attributes are going to be pretty essential for us in helping us give additional information to those tags. So that should have been pretty helpful for you all. And hopefully by this lesson should have told you how to write comments, which is fairly easy. All you want to do, bracket, exclamation point, dash, dash, anything you want, dash, dash, bracket. That's a comment. Links, again, are through the anchor tag. So bracket A, bracket, and in between the A and the bracket, you want to put href, and then in quotations, or if you prefer not to do in quotations, the URL that you want to go to, google.com, and whatever. And then close off the anchor tag. And then in between the anchor tags, you put whatever text you want to show up, like that. And that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. Stay tuned for the next lesson, as I believe we'll be going over tables. So see you guys then.